Hi, y'all. My name is Ursala. I am one of your MCs this weekend. Guys, I'm going to try to hold it together. I'm trying not to cry as I see so much excellence up here. Legacy bearers. We are so excited for this panel talk. I just have a little blurb so you know what to expect for today. And also, happy World Lindy Hop Day, y'all. So this is a little blurb from our moderators. Here we go. Typically, World Lindy Hop Day is associated with the legacy of Lindy Hop ambassadors Frankie Manning, right? This year, we have decided to shake things up a little and also focus on the wider story of Lindy Hop from the point of view of several generations of black women, including former members of Whitey's Lindy Hoppers and former partner Frankie Manning. Oh. Y'all, we're not going to get through this hour if y'all keep clapping. I know, I still got more to say. I'm trying to hold it together. Black women are often the backbone of the community, being agents of social gatherings and dance transmission, all the while being amazing practitioners and living archives beholding the tradition. The goal of this panel is to learn about the evolution of the scene through different locations and periods of time represented by each panelist. So, without further ado, I would like to turn it over to our moderators, LaTasha Barnes and Ndiaye.
Hello, hello, hello. The lovely and amazing Dr. Ndiaye and myself are excited. She knows I make her own that title every time. Are really excited to be able to work with the BLHF, Black Lindy Hoppers Fund, to provide opportunities like this for you all to get to know a little more of the history that sometimes is overlooked. So as ethnochoreologists, we love to make sure that the culture that begets the dance that people enjoy so much also moves forward as the dance is celebrated. So that is the primary reason for this panel today.
And also, just to put a little, sorry, I'm already crying. Like, this is for me the most amazing thing on the planet, and we haven't even started. Just to talk a bit about the Black Lindy Hoppers Fund and how like this panel came to be. So the idea, as Tasha was saying, is to honor the Black American history of the dance, which is very important but not always known, especially for us travelers from Europe. And thank you all for showing up too, Europeans. I acknowledge the fact that we are blessed to be here in Harlem. We are super lucky to be in the historic Alhambra Ballroom, and that we're living a very important moment in the story of Lindy Hop. As Tasha said, to celebrate the unsung heroes of the dance, the Black women who's been there. We have like dances from the 50s to today represented in the panel.
We have over 50 years of dance represented here. 57, pardon me. Yeah. A professional dance experience represented here. Incredible.
Yes, and the last thing is for us to always look back and at the evolution of our scene so that we can continue forward, informed and stronger together. Yes.
Beautiful. So because we have such a robust and rich panel, we want to make this as manageable as possible. Yes, I'm looking at you, Miss Barbara. We want to make this as manageable as possible. So we would like for you to offer your name. If you have a dance name or a name that was bestowed upon you while you were dancing, that's great too. Your name, where you were, and when it was that you started dancing the Lindy Hop. We'll start with the youngin' to give some of y'all some time to remember.
Okay, I'm Dee Daniels-Locke, and I'm I'm from Minneapolis, and I had kind of two different chunks of dancing. I danced with my family. I learned from my family. And then I went to hip hop, and then I saw a Gap commercial. And I was like, what? And then my grandma was like, yeah, that's that one thing. So I officially started in the scene in '98.
My name is Shirley Duncan. I'm from Baltimore Borough. I started dancing as a teenager. I'm now 76. I just had a birthday. And I don't do the Lindy Hop. It's a swing off from the Lindy Hop. We call it hand dancing, jitterbug. So I've been doing this dance since '90s professionally. I've won a lot of contests. I met Norma in New York and in Meadowlands, and she just adopted me. So I got hooked. So I've been following her around for years, and with Frankie and Norma, and I'm just glad to be here. 1990.
I'm Mickey Davidson, and I kind of found my way. Dance is my vehicle, and African American culture is my vehicle. Then you put those two together, there's no way you're not gonna find swing. And I do most of my work with musicians, so most people don't realize that. I don't know if any of you have heard of the Sun Ra Orchestra, but I worked with them, and there's a lot of improvisation, and I thought I was inventing something. And then he started calling out the names that I thought I was inventing. And then he just said, just as there's standards in music, there's standards in dance. And I had heard about because I was rehearsing up here in Harlem with Sounds in Motion, Diane McIntyre, and we had heard that there were these older people who were doing the old style dances, but they didn't like professional dancers because they counted. So when I saw the show Amaniyea and Clyde were doing down at the Village Gate, I was like, this is what he was talking about. So I knew, I went up to the rehearsal and I acted like I ain't never danced before. I said, because Norma said, "What, can you swing?" And so then I had to go out there and look foolish for a minute. And then she said, "Well, you can come hang out." I'm like, okay. And I just, then they found out I had a car, and I could take them where they wanted to go and go get the coffee. I was the gopher. And so that was like 1985. And then one day, 85. And one day I hired Norma for one of my gigs. And then I told her some of the music. And well, you all know how Norma talks. She's like, what the fuck a trio's gonna do with a big band music? And I just kind of, So then she walks into the theater and she looks at the musicians, and she knew the musicians, Bruce Townsend, Bob Cunningham, and Charlie Precip. And she looked at me, and she said, "Who the fuck are you?" And we've been on that journey, that dance and the music journey, and the survival journey, and the hustle journey, up until she took that breath.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I just want to let you know I'm so happy to be here. My name is Amaniyea Payne. My road is well-rounded, let me say that. Yeah, I was dancing African dance, traditional African dance forms of a dynamic company called International African American Ballet, right here in New York, 1976. And my partner, Clyde Wilder, as we progressed inside of the African traditions, said, you gotta come uptown to the Bronx. You know, they up there swinging. I was like, what they doing? But see, now I knew that because when we was growing up, I'm from Baltimore, and when we were growing up, hand dance was a community dance, so it was in your household. So, and already knowing hand dance, I was like, oh, this is familiar. So anyway, I went uptown to Mama Lou Parks. And I was like, what the, ooh. And just fabulous dancers, thank you, and many more that took on a leadership of mentoring young people to know their culture and their heritage. This was in 1980 when I started working with Mama Lou Parks. I won the Harvest Moon Ball in 1982, 84, what was it? Went to Germany and did the rock and roll competition, which was like completely opposite rules. Or if there was rules, we were against rules, so we had to find out there was rules in this, okay? And there was real gymnasts inside of this too. But in understanding rhythm and motion, Mama Lou Parks and company set that under my foundation, under my feet to be able to move forward. And so as we progressed, and of course do you guys remember when she did the Small Paradise? Was anybody there? Small's Paradise, when they did the Harvest Moon Ball? Yeah, that's when I met Sugar and Al Mims, and we had the opportunity to go on tour with Cab Calloway together. That was absolutely wonderful. In my travels, I went on tour with Stevie Wonder and the African dance and interpretive dance, because that was real important in the African American community to understand how to interpret inside of the music, and in a sense, it's almost like people call it liturgical, we just call it spirit dance. And it takes care of a whole gamut of things. And so then after that, we progressed on, and Larry Schultz had Al Mims working up there. And of course, let's not leave out Pepsi Bethel at the Clark Center, where we Nikki also used to go and take classes with Mr. Bethel and watch their performances, or with our companies, different companies, perform alongside with them. And so there's an ever-learning process inside of this. It doesn't matter how much you think you know, there's always something else to learn. And then let me go on uptown to the Sandra Cameron studio, and then we had a chance to meet Norma Miller, Frankie Manning, a whole bunch of other people. And they was having auditions. And we was in there talking about, and so me and Clyde had our little things. And Mama Lou's telling her, she's okay, because she wasn't easy now, I'm gonna tell you that. She was loving. She was loving as you was learning and living, because this is a person that lived their art form just as these various people up here. And so when you live your art form, you take another mental approach towards this, And so from there, from 1980s, I worked with, 1983, I worked with Norma Miller and the Norma Miller Jazz Dancers. And we had the opportunity to open for Red Fox and John Hendricks and Avery Brooks, and worked with the Nicholas Brothers, and Mickey, you was there right there, Mickey was there. And then I got offered a job as artistic director of a dynamic group in Chicago called Muntu Dance Theater. And so I took on leadership, what do we call it, the architectural leadership, to diversify this organization into the many facets of preservation of Black dance, mainly stemming from African dance. And so inside of that, before going, I created a dance and a style that was called African Swing, that was showing the paralletic entities, or the Africanness inside of traditional jazz dance, swing, Lindy. And so that led me on the road to be able to understand rhythm a little better, to see that It's from the root, it's from the foundation. And the story goes on and on and on. And I was with Norma on a long journey until she took that breath too, Mom. And so as I said, I'm honored to be here amongst all of you wonderful people who are carrying on the traditions of this dynamic dance style that has brought the world together to be a better place.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. How you doing? Hello. Hello. Hi, I'm Crystal Johnson. Oh, yeah, my dad danced with Whitey Lindy Hops. My dad is Tops. Do you mind if I stand up? I can't talk sitting down. I just want to thank, Christina. Tina. I got a blank on that one. I just want to thank Tina for inviting me this year. Last year she invited me and I couldn't make it, but this year I made it. I'm a 1972 Harvest Moonball champion. I also danced with Mama Lou Parks from her group. I got in her group from 1964 going into 65 and made history. Because I always tell when they ask me to do this, I always say I walked into my dream. I always used to go to the Apollo and watch the parkettes, okay? And I said, I'm gonna do that. I was dancing previously, but I was doing African dancing and just regular and Latin. I teach Latin, and I still teach Lindy Hop. So I just walked into my dream. The gentleman I married, he told me he knew them, right? So I'm like, you know how when somebody tell you, you know somebody, you go, yeah, okay. So I just went along with it. I was like, yeah, you don't know them. So we went up, he said, come and go with me to my buddy's house. They were best friends, Miss Park's husband and my husband, the gentleman I married. I didn't know this at the time. So he knocks on the door. This is serious. Knocked on the door, and I'm standing behind him. So David opens the door, and I'm like, boom. And then he stepped away. The first parkette I seen was Gloria Thompson. They was folding clothes to go on tour with James Brown. And I walked in there, and all the costumes was around Miss Park's house. I was like, and my husband said, she wants to dance. And from that day, I walked into my dream because I never knew that I just never knew. And when you're passionate and you really want something and you pray on it, okay? I know some may not believe in prayer, but you pray on it and believe in it, you will get it. You will get it. You really will. You will get it. And don't look at me like this, okay? Because I know what I'm talking about. I'll be 75 this year. So, and I thank God for my 50 years, okay? And I work with the people down at You Should Be Dancing Studios with Bobby and the crew. Right on, y'all. Sean, hey, yes. I've danced the Apollo most of my life. I've been on tour. I did Smokey Robinson and James Brown and a couple of others. It's just beautiful. We always Lindy Hop, that's one thing. When you say Lindy Hop, if I didn't hurt my foot, I would be tearing this floor up. Okay, I'm serious. I'm serious. Because our generation is different from your generation, correct? Correct. Okay. So, y'all get away with a lot of stuff because we didn't have a line where you could take turns to dance. Like y'all have that line. We didn't have that. It was get out there for 2 minutes nonstop, air steps, everything. 2 minutes. It wasn't no slow down and wait. Wasn't none of that. It was constantly moving. That's why y'all got it easy. Ooh. Yeah. And y'all got it easy. Because I don't see the strength in the guys that they had the strength back then. Ooh. Ooh. It's really not there. Because when you go to lift the girl, y'all like, but when we used to lift the girls, down. Okay, a word to the wise who likes to be champions and like to do stuff right. Get your strength together. Get your weight together.
Get your weight up.
Yeah, because if you want to fly, you got to be able to fly. And I love to fly. That's my dance mom. Mom Barbara, I love you.
I'm sorry, but at my age, I can do what I want.
That part.
That's right. My name is Barbara Billups. And now just wait a minute. I'm not for sure, but I might be the oldest one in here. Is that what you say you were? Barbara Billups started her dancing when she was a young kid. She in the house with her grandmother, and my grandmother was very religious, and she should tell me, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. But my grandfather would say, leave her alone, leave her alone. When I finally finished high school, my grandmother sent me to New York where my mother lived. And my mother, she started me going to the Savoy. And going to the Savoy, it was a place I really, really, really had never seen before in my life. It was the most beautiful place on the inside. And the staircase of this don't compare to the Savoy. And it was something I had never, I was born in Georgia, I put it that way, so you know that how pretty that place was for me. I never seen nothing like that. But then I started going and I didn't decide, some fellas decided for me to start doing the Lindy. Don't you laugh, because you know better. I can talk to him because he keeps me busy. He always booking me someplace, so I can talk to him. But the fellas did. It was the last of the Savoy Ballroom, Madison Square Garden. It was the last dance they had. And they already did their preliminary and all of that. And this fella wanted to dance. His name was Willie Posey. So my girlfriend, Sugar, her husband came over to me and asked me, will I dance with Willie? And I said, I'm not doing that. I never did that. They, about 3 weeks, and they going to Madison Square Garden. I cannot go. I can't do that. He said, yes, you can. So after that, 2 or 3 other fellows came over. And they said, Barbara, please do us a favor. Willie wants to dance and couldn't find nobody to dance with him. I said, all right. I said, I'll try. So for about 3 weeks, they started me to doing the Lindy. Now, I used to go to the Savoy. Wait a minute, let me tell you this first. When I first went to the Savoy and started dancing, they used to have this big floor, and people be going in and out of that dancing 2 at a time, 2 at a time. Y'all know how they do, because y'all do that too. So then I never did it. I was always on the outside trying to learn what I saw them do. And then all of a sudden this guy came over to me and dragged me in the middle of the floor and started dancing. I'm saying, I can't do that, I can't do that. He said, do what I saw you doing outside, you'll be okay. But when I got in the middle of that floor, and I started, I said, I didn't even know where I was. And I was doing things I thought I would never do. And everybody was clapping, the men was clapping and going on, and next thing I know, there was someone else grabbed me, and someone else grabbed me, and I said, oh my God. I said, I'm going back tomorrow. So when I left, I went back the next day. I always work now. From my job, I went back to the Savoy. And when I opened that door and went in, this lady came over to me and she said, come in. I said, oh my God, what's going on? She said, you know the fellow that you was dancing with last night trying to get you out? I said, yeah. She said, that's my husband. I said, oh shit. I just knew I had a problem. She said, come here, let me show you what he was trying to get you to do. And that was Sugar Sullivan. She and I are just like this now. Thank you, thank you. Now, getting back to the dancing, I'll travel halfway around the world, I believe, doing this dance. I started dancing professional, I think it was when I was 34. That's when Son Allen decided to get this Son Allen and the Rockers. But I was traveling before then. We was just doing the two of us doing different things, and he decided to get the group together. I might be getting the dates wrong, so don't quote me, just as she said. Don't say what date it was. But the trouble about it, doing the dance that y'all are doing now, we did the same dance. And I hear her say, we didn't have the, I don't know where she was, but we had lawns like that. We had, maybe where she learned from. We did have people like that. So, and we would all get in the floor and try to outdance the other. Oh, yeah. Now, you remember that? Oh, yeah. See, there, I told you know what you were saying. So we all got on the floor and tried to outdance each other. And that came over pretty good because it's learned you things. I could be doing one thing and see somebody doing that. I may not do it then, but I'll try it later. But there's one thing I'm going to say. Don't stop dancing, please. Don't do it. And do me one favor. And I'm going to ask Tina, whoever's top of this next year, every last one of you bring one person with you. Even if they don't dance, bring them anyway. Because you'll be surprised what they might try to do the next time. They'll be saying, oh, I'm going back again, and I'm gonna try that dance. You'll be surprised. I don't care if you bring your mother, your father, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, but bring somebody, please, at least one person. And I guarantee you, you won't go wrong. I love all of you. I've seen a hell of a lot of dancing out here. I've seen a lot of things I wish I could do. Don't try me now. But I see no but you will be surprised. You'll be surprised. And take this for an answer. Try to do whatever you can. Don't stop dancing. I don't care how old you is. I got a hip problem here and a knee problem here, but I get home and try to do this to get it out. So hey, so don't let that bother you, please. Don't let it bother you, okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura Jeffers, and I can make this quick because my Lindy Hop origin story is way more dull than all these people. I started, actually, I didn't do any partner dancing when I was growing up. I was in my mid-30s by the time I found Lindy Hop, and I found it because, you know, we used to dance to R&B and soul. Actually, now it's called classic R&B, but back then it was just R&B. But every time I heard any kind of swing music or big band music, I was like, ah! So I went looking for classes. Like, that's what we did. We looked for classes. Then there was this whole scene going on uptown that I didn't know about for a long time. But I ended up at the Sandra Cameron Dance Center. And I started with Paul Grecki, who had studied with Al Minns. And when I first started, I used to get there early and watch the advanced class with Frankie, and there were like 2 or 3 people in Frankie's class back then. And I just was so excited when I got to take classes with Frankie. And that was the beginning. But it's supposed to be how we started, right?
Yes, how you started.
Okay.
But you can embellish.
All right, then.
And just remember the year.
The year?
When was that?
Yeah, I started at Sandra Cameron in 1994. And they want me to tell you that I direct the Big Apple Lindy Hoppers, and well, so I feel like I was part of a transition that I didn't even really recognize until way later. And I started dancing before the Gap ad, but not long before the Gap ad. And there weren't that many places to go dancing as far as I could find in New York. And then the Gap ad happened, and it just exploded within the first few years that I was dancing. So it was a very auspicious time to get started because it was very, very exciting. Is there anything else you want me to talk about?
What's your mission with the group?
Oh, yes. Well, the Big Apple Lindy Hoppers started in the mid-'80s, and Frankie was the original coach and choreographer, and we have a bunch of current Big Apple Lindy Hoppers in the room, I think, right? Woo-hoo! Current and past. Yay! So the first few years that I was in the troupe, Frankie came to all the rehearsals, so we got to learn his choreography from him, and then he took off on the road, and we didn't see that much of him. I feel like it's our main job to share Frankie's choreography with the world, and there aren't a whole lot of us who got to learn it from him, so I kind of feel like I have a job to do.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's later.
The Big Apple Lindy Hoppers are the performance troupe of the New York Swing Dance Society. Yes, I taught it. Yes, I can give you my whole autobiography. I taught for a long time, and I performed, and I competed, and I did all the things.
Yes, she did all the things. Thank you so much, Laura.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, good evening. I am Julia Loving, and I got a cheering team. But so I come from a family, a Motown dancing family, okay? So up in the Bronx on those Saturday nights and Friday nights, my family would hand dance. I would see, I come from a big family, 18 on my mom and 13 on my dad. And we all got together and we would hand dance and all of that. So, you know, the spirit of this dance has been in me for a while. But I would leave the Bronx and come to Harlem, and often I would see dancing in the street, dancing in the parks. And I wondered what these dances were, and I would often see these older gentlemen dancing, looking sharp with the, you know, with their spats on and things like that. And I would hang out at the Apollo Theater every week, I would say, during high school. So I'm just thinking about my progression with this dance. And then I would actually go to Midsummer Night's Swing, living here in New York City as I got a little older. But where it really started was I started teaching my kids how to swing dance and wasn't doing it myself really, right? I'm a playwright, I'm an author, but I wrote this story about the generations of dance. And I wanted to bring them back from Africa on up to, like, you know, a little past the Harlem Renaissance into my era, the hip hop era. But I had to also include certainly Lindy Hop. And so I had the kids Lindy Hop, and I had some older teachers at my job that actually wanted to be a part of it. So we had like this whole school thing with the Lindy Hop. This dance that I watched it, and I could figure it out, and I did it with them, and they were happy, we were happy. So that's like really spreading it. And at that time, Barbara Jones from the Harlem Swing Dance Society saw a play that I actually did, and she invited me. She goes, "I didn't know you knew how to Lindy Hop." I said, "Well, I guess I do," right? So she invited me to come take classes down with the Harlem Swing Dance Society here in Harlem, and I've been under the tutelage of Samuel Coleman ever since. So thank you, Samuel. And so it's going a little further than just dancing for me. Oh, let me give a shout out to my son, my first dance partner. We won second place at Midsummer Night's Swing. Where's Brandon? Where's Brandon Barker? When they matched, so Brandon and I were the odd couple because Brandon was, I don't know, 14, and I was probably like 40-some. And I'm big, he's small, right? But the things that we could do on that dance floor, right? Right, Brandon? So we beat out a lot of people that day. So what I'm saying is that I started this blog called Big Girls Can Lindy Hop Too as a result of it, right? Just to share that.
Let's go, Julia.
Yes, they can. And, so I'm just thinking that my journey is still going on, I've become an event organizer. I've been doing a lot of programming here in New York City and elsewhere. I've been doing a lot of panel discussions about inclusivity. It's just a lot of things, and I'm excited for the future. And often I always say thanks to Samuel because I was gonna quit, and he was like, just keep it up. First of all, my body was hurt, but he said, keep going, and I have. And I just want to say, it's a scene, we're working, it's all over the world, I've been able to give grants to people all over the world to celebrate this dance that comes out of, New York City, out of Harlem, out of a community of black folks that never even had the audacity to think that far that it could go, right? So I'm just proud to be here on this panel amongst, all of you all, and I'm encouraged by looking at you all when I do see you all. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Tena Morales-Armstrong. I started dancing in 1996 in Washington, D.C. I've known people like Naomi and Nina and Peter since they were teenagers, and maybe Peter 22. Sky since he was 14. I started dancing. I always was sort of a competitive type person. Can't tell by that. But I ran track. I was athletic when I was young. And my sister owned an aerobics studio. And I used to kind of teach hip hop and stuff there, and she was telling me, I was going through a bad time in my life, and she kept telling me about this swing dancing, and I'm like, I don't know about that, I don't know. And she kept bugging me, and we went to Glen Echo Park, and there it was amazing. And I saw a couple out on the floor. Of course, I didn't know what it was, and now I know they were doing Tandem Charleston, but I remember their names too, Carol and Dave. Remember them, Naomi? Remember them? and because I didn't know what I was in or doing, they were doing that and I was mesmerized. And I pulled my chair out on the floor and sat there and watched them. I don't know what I was doing. So, but that just amazed me. And that was a Saturday night. And I went around and I gathered every flyer I could find. On Monday, I went to class. On Tuesday, I went to Tom and Deborah's class on Monday in DC. Then on Tuesday, I went to the Vienna Tap Room. And then Thursday, I drove from Virginia to Baltimore to take a class. And this is all after that Saturday. And I've never stopped since. So, 96. I think 96. 96? I don't know. She might remember. I don't know. I then moved to Houston. And I am going to be very remiss if I don't say this. All of you guys are here because of the Houston Swing Dance Society. And you may not know this, but the Houston Swing Dance Society, underneath Houston Swing Dance Society is the Black Lindy Hopper Fund, the Frankie Manning Foundation, ILHC, ISDC, Lindy Hopper's Opportunity Fund, and a host of other things. If there's Frankie 95 and Frankie 100. And I have to introduce you to someone. There are two people sitting right over there. Buddy, Steve, stand up, and Rowena
Buddy
Young.
and Rowena, stand up, please.
Buddy started the Houston Swing Dance Society as a gift to Rowena. And so you are all here because of those two people here and the work that the Houston Swing Dance Society. And I really want to thank them because they have been so gracious to me all these years, and I have a lot of dreams, this being one of them, and they've always been supportive. They've always, helped me out. Yeah, I do some things, I guess, like, what kind of things? What do you mean? I don't know. We have the youth program.
I was going to say, yes. So ILHC particularly is one of the biggest hearts of, or children of Tena's brainchild. And it is one of maybe the only Lindy Hop swing dance event that has a youth program,
yes,
that has a historical program,
yes,
that also has a competitive program, and values live musicianship and aims to present a space for social dance.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Yeah. And
as we say in the Black community, at the same damn time.
And it's a big adventure, but this is also a promise that I made to the elders that, I would never let them be forgotten. I would never let people forget where the dance came from. And so it's an honor for me to be here in this room and for you all to be here and celebrate Lindy Hop with us.
Okay, we have 10 minutes, and
This is why we asked such a brief, beautiful question, because we knew the richness of these women here was going to take us places. So,
10 minutes and 6 questions.
Nay.
Okay, pick one.
Or we can open it up if we want.
Should we open it up?
We should open it up.
I think I will ask a question.
Okay.
I'm gonna not open it. I love you all. I'm not opening it up. So let's go with that question that you brought forward, Tasha.
Okay.
That, like, if you can name one challenge that you've encountered in your dance story, and that you have overcome, that you feel like sharing.
And how you overcame it.
How you've overcome.
More importantly, the how.
A challenge in your dance story that you have overcome. I don't speak English, I'm French.
One of the challenges that I have in my dance company, my dance group is called the Charm City Dancers, and I hand dance. It's bringing the dancers together. So when I first started this dance group, early 90s, I was the first dance group in Baltimore. Now we have 15 new dance groups. And they step, they ballroom, they hand dance, and they Lindy. So what my challenge is to bring all of those dances in one room and dance. Not in one room, in one facility and dance. So this is my first year. If I had this white dance for 23 years, and it's a white party, and you must wear white, no exception. And I'm having it this year and trying to bring all the dances together. It's happening on June the 3rd. I have 5 different states that's coming in. And we're gonna dance. We're gonna dance all together. And I'll let you know how it turns out.
what human being doesn't have a challenge? But coming as a dancer who deals with the diaspora, who deals with the music, it's keeping the human, the social, and political context of each of the dances and how then we use the dance to better the society, and how do we get the children to understand when Frankie said create opportunities for a lot of for Frankie and Norma, it was the opportunity to go beyond the segregation of America. It opened because America responded to excellence, creativity, and to music. And that's what has been healing this country and keeping it from going totally out. So it is through the music. You know, my challenge as an African-American young woman who has her own mind, and everybody has their opinion of what you should be doing and not doing, it was the music of Eddie Harris and with the song Compared to What? Les McCann and Eddie Harris. And I was sitting in my rented room and I heard that music and I heard the words of that song and I was like, can't nobody tell me nothing no more. I knew it was all relative. So I lived my truth and it has lived with me, and the music and the elders have guided me because they recognize that kind of energy. And it is that energy of mild disruption, revolution, and consciousness that has kept the community to expand. And watching Frankie specifically do that for the globe by making this dance accessible to regular people. Because in the old days, if you don't know the music, you don't count, you have to feel all that stuff. And many people of color, the older people, were not going to translate that because they understood appropriation and what the fear of appropriation and disrespect was going to, and capitalism. So I live inside of those gray areas because, as Zora Neale Hurston says, we got to deal with the buttermilk bottom of our community. And it's the dance and it's the music that can lift us all.
And along with all of that, one of the greatest problems was sustainability. I had a group that we wanted health insurance benefits for, put them on salary, and we did for 20 years. And that was through the opportunity to be able to, and that was the first African dance company that was on salary for over 20 years with insurance benefits. So it was about sustainability being a major problem. And in that sustainability, it was also understanding the importance of artistic administrative partnerships. So for those that do have organizations and you are the creative entity inside of it, you have to find a partner to be able to do that artistic and administrative works. Someone who can translate your vision onto the paper. Because all artists, not writers, they do. You know, so when you create, so the ability to find that creative, artistic, administrative partner that understood your vision and bring that on pen and paper so that the funders who didn't really want to give us the money, because we had always had to fight for that, you know, but when you're dealing with par excellence in your craft and in the work and in the spirit of what it is that you're doing, you find a way. So I would say sustainability and continuum.
Thank you, LaTasha. Really quick, Tena, I just wanted to say that you are my person. Like these stories about somebody who was there, that you saw, that helped you out, and became your dance mom or your dance, like you're my person. And I started in '98, and I went to ILHC, My mom brought me there as a surprise. I walked in the door and saw all this business, and I was like, nah, and my mom said, I spent this money. You better get down there. And you came to Minnesota with Carnell, and when I saw you move, I was literally like, I will follow this woman anywhere, forever. Like, you were what I feel when I'm dancing. I see it when I watch you. So I just wanted to say that. All these people got to say that, and I wanted to say that for you. Yeah. You're my person. And my challenge is kind of a contemporary one. I'll be fast. And it has to just do with isolation. I feel like we can be isolated as dancers of color, and I would even say ostracized a little bit. And I've definitely experienced like doors being closed within the scene, not like within like a professional community where they're hiring you or not hiring, not even that, just like within the scene. And I think that that's been a challenge, and I feel like I'm here out of spite because of that thing. Like, I'm spiteful. I'm still here. This is my 25th year. Like, I'm spiteful. And I would say how I'm overcoming that, because it is a process, is that I'm finding my people and I'm finding places that allow my people to have space, and I'm trying to reach out to my community emotionally to give them a safe harbor to come to the dance. And Marie and LaTasha are definitely a part of that, but that's something I think that our scene is contemporarily facing right now.
I think we will have Miss Barbara.
But what I have heard so far, isn't it almost exactly what I said, to bring somebody here with you every time? Please bring someone else with you. We got to make this grow. If you're just going to come and not going to come no more, or maybe something, don't get me wrong now. If something is wrong and you cannot make it, she will understand and I'm going to understand, because I'm going to ask her, what was the reason why you didn't show this time? Okay, this is not my thing, but I'm taking over for her. I'm going to make sure y'all support her.
Just briefly, back in the early days of running the Big Apple Lindy Hoppers, one of my challenges was finding a balance between community and ego. And figuring out what kind of little community I wanted to make with the Big Apple Lindy Hoppers. And to me, the most important thing is how joyous the dance is and sharing that joy. And so I stopped looking only at people's ability and experience and looked at sort of a wider range of attributes so that we all love dancing together. That's true, right, you guys?
So I would say erasure. You know, I live my life as a school librarian, and I see books representing Black people being tossed out. You know, a lot of our history being tossed out, banned books and all of that. So a couple weeks ago, Marie and I were brainstorming, what could we do for this LED? Early in the morning, I don't even know what time zone you were on, but I'm driving to work, I'm parked, I'm in my car, and I'm speaking about erasure with her. And I said, you know, often when we see the Lindy Hop scene, we only see a lot of the men. But what about the women? Even like in the photos, we don't really concentrate as much on the women. So I said, you know, certainly we should do this LED on Black women, Black HERstory, Lindy Hop, Black HERstory. So, I believe in building pyramids. So certainly erasure, because I'm seeing our history being erased all the time. And I also find, sometimes I go to parties and I feel erased. I feel like I'm not there. I often don't get asked to dance and, things like that. So we have to be conscious, about people of all different backgrounds and ages. And, this is an intergenerational dance. And I don't come to get hooked up with people. I don't come to dance and get hooked up with people, because a lot of times that's what I know people are trying to do. They're like, I'm not interested in her. Let me go find somebody else, right? But what I'm saying is that often you'll find wallflowers, and you need to be conscious of the wallflowers. Everyone deserves a dance. So I'm just thinking about erasure. I'm thinking about, just our history being erased. And, when Black women go to dance, we deserve to be danced with as well, whether I'm your choice in dating or not, So that part. So I had to say it. And how I overcame that, I, of course, started writing, making inclusion and inclusivity a part of, the link panels, starting up at Beantown. And I had Norma Miller, remember our first panels up there with Norma Miller, and she was like, what the hell is this damn inclusivity? So I had to break it down to her, and she was like, oh, I didn't have that problem. No, you wouldn't have, because you danced in, of course it was a white-owned Black space, but yes, you danced in that kind of space. So I would say erasure is one of those things that I work with all the time to make our scenes more inclusive. And I certainly, do that with our communities and, with our scholars programs, because I want people to interact. So I would say erasure. Oh, yeah. And one day, Judy Pritchett had emailed me about how can, communities outside of the United States, or just communities, event organizers, scene organizers, what could they do to make their scenes more inclusive? So I included 21 questions. During my lunch break, I was like, let me just think about the things that I observed. So I typed up all of these things, I sent it to Judy, and before I knew it, it was flying, and now it's in Spanish and Italian, and so yeah, so that erasure part.
I was sitting here trying to get it together, because honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not a liar. I couldn't understand, what did I overcome? Okay, but this is one thing that I'm very happy with, that through the years, we have come together. Okay, we have, because at one time, it was the Black Lindy Hop. Okay, you come up in Harlem, because I'm born and raised in Harlem on 144th Street. So I've overcome, I'm proud that when I met Bobby White, all of y'all know Bobby, he was so interested, he was so greedy for our history. He really, he touched my heart. He really, really did. So that kind of opened up me more. It just opened up the dance era in me. Except there it is. Okay, I never, I'm sorry. I am so proud of them that I'm just happy that everybody wants to know the history, because the foundation is here. The foundation was in my father's generation with Whitey's Lindy Hoppers, okay? And that was before I was born. So I'm proud that everyone is interacting with each other. But one thing for certain and two for sure, don't forget where the foundation came from. Okay? Just don't forget, because I noticed that when I come in sometime, nobody knows who I am, because I don't brag who I am. Your talent, your gift will speak for you, okay? So the point is, you get this. And then when they see you up here, it's a different story. It's like, I didn't mean to do that. See, and that's what we got to get away from. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? That's what we got to get away from.
So that kind of,
so just keep in mind, just like I love sharing, I still teach, I don't dance, but I still teach to dance. And I love it. I have a passion for it. I will eat it up. And anybody who's been in my classes know I'll chew you up.
So one other thing before we go, I think it's really important that most of you, a lot of times people have questions about, well, what does that mean? What do I do? And as people who, other than coming from the Black culture, you might want to know, how do I become an ally? How do I become an ally to this dance? So I think Marie's probably going to explain it. I got the mic.
I was not expecting that. I think for me, it's the concept that Tasha's gracefully introduced into our scene, especially as a European practicing this dance, and is how to be a good guest in a culture. And I often think about how I would like people to behave in my culture. How I would like, I'm French, Caribbean, and Senegalese. And I'm like, how do I want people to respect my culture? And this is what I want to apply to somebody else's culture. So I don't try to impose my way of life into the values and aesthetic of the dance as it is. I don't try to change the thing to make myself comfortable, but I embrace the discomfort and I try to grow as a human being in the practice. And this dance for me has been about learning about my ancestry and my humanity. And I'm deeply grateful for everybody on this panel.
That part.
For sharing with us, guests.
Yes, and so in that, just further clarification, the notion that she's describing is cultural surrogacy. And as well-rounded as this whole entire offering has been, it was because of my interaction as well with Bobby White, who brought me into this community. He was the one person that I was the one person that he brought one day. And his endless desire to have an earnest understanding of why this dance was so powerful, not so that he could replicate it, not so that he could make a profit from it, literally just so that he could avail the information to those who came across his path. And he will tell you himself, he knew he wasn't the greatest. I don't think I'm the greatest. None of these women up here, well, maybe Miss Crystal might think she's the greatest.
I think everybody on this
she'll challenge you on that one too. But it wasn't about that. It was about making sure that you had the wherewithal to give someone just a little bit more to get that hunger in them so that then they would want to care for this thing fully. Not just surface or transparent, like topsoil. Fully rooted, to be fully rooted in it and to help someone else be fully rooted so they could help root someone else so that they could then continue and expand and have this amazing community that we have today. And if it wasn't for Tena having this event, for Bobby to be able to bring me to this event when it was 5 minutes away from my house and when I lived in Virginia, these types of conversations, these types of interactions, these types of support networks would not be possible. But even in the midst of these challenges, which is why we asked the question, the main thing that all of these incredible women have done was show up for themselves, first and foremost, as Marie so beautifully said, and this transcends all Black American music and dance cultures. There are tenets within hip hop that we talk about, and there are tenets within jazz that we talk about, and the most critical is knowledge of self. How do you relate? How do you hold this culture? How do you hold this community in relation and regard to yourself? That hopefully will be the thing that continues to allow us to recognize and regard these women as the powerful, generators of this culture that they have been for many, 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 many decades. Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Give it up one more time for our panelists. Thank you, ladies, for taking the opportunity. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, LaTasha.
Keep going.